ASP.NET Web API pipeline. So let's see how the ASP.NET Web API pipeline works internally. So here we will discuss all the important steps in the ASP.NET Web API pipeline. So when you're talking about the ASP.NET Web API hosting, so ASP.NET Web API we can host on IaaS. So you can say it is a web hosting, and we can host within a process as well. That would be here. It is self-hosting. So for the self-hosting, you can host the web API with the Alpha console application. You can host with the Alpha Windows application as well. So in case of hosting, like the next step is here message handler. So message handlers are used to intercept the request and response before processing. And ASP.NET Web API having some built-in message handler, and even you can create your custom message handler as well if you are willing to intercept the request and response. In the Web API, there are some delegation handler which are used to intercept the request before processing, or you can say before passing it further. So next step in the message handler is here. It's route dispatcher. So whatever the routes you have registered in your application, in your Web API. So when a request will come, so if that request pattern is matching with the available route, then it further process the request. If the pattern is not matching, then it go back. So it will return. So it will go back by returning the error for not for. So if the route is available here, then we are having here the controller dispatcher, so that further we can initialize the controller. So if controller is available, then it further process the request. If controller is not available, then it go back again. So this is the way how the message handler is intercepting the request. If things are working well, so it's dispatching it to the next step. If it is not working well, it's go back by returning for not for error, like any other things. Any other exception also might happen here. So now the controller dispatcher will initialize the controller, and when the controller will initialize, so further it initiate the process of action execution. But here before the action execution in Web API, filters are going to be executed. So in ASP.NET Web API, we are having the authentication filter to check the user authenticity. We are having the authorization filter to check the user permission, and we are having the action filter as well. So if you are willing to inject some logic before the action executing, so you can use there the action filter. And when these filters are going to be executed, so obviously we receive some parameter at the action level. So when we are receiving the parameter at the action level, so how those parameters values are going to be bind with the request URI, like what the data we are getting in the request as a body, as a request URI. So that responsibility is here of the model binding. So model binding is responsible for binding the request URI data, the request body data into the action receiving parameter. So when everything is going to be mapped correctly, so action method execution is start. So what of the code you have written here, that is going to be executed, and action method return some result. So when you are returning some result, so before returning the result, some of the filters are also going to be executed here, because sometimes it happens you want to cache the response, you want to cache the result of the action method. So in that case you can use post action filter, and here the result Web API can return either in XML format, either in JSON format. Even you can return the result from the Web API in your custom format as well. So obviously there is a result conversion process. So here there is a serialization of the C# object of the C# list into the desired format. And when everything go well, it returns the response. So this is a typical ASP.NET Web API pipeline, or you can say these are the various main steps in your ASP.NET Web API pipeline to process it. So how the ASP.NET Web API is going to handle the request and process it, and finally return the response to the client whenever a user is requesting something from the Web API, like the data from the Web API. ASP.NET Web API filters. So let's see what are the various filters are available in ASP.NET Web API. which you can use for the various purpose. So when you're talking about the filters, so filters we use to check the authenticity, to check the authorization. You can use filters for converting the result. Even you can use the filters for others purpose as well. Let's say if you are willing to log the user activity. So now let's understand what are the various types of filters are available in ASP.NET Web API. So we are having here authentication filter, which help us to authenticate the user detail. So in authentication filter, we write the logic for checking the user authenticity. Then we have authorization filter. Authorization filter is used to check the user permission, whether user is having the permission to access this API or not. So that permission you can apply based upon the user roles. That permission you can apply based upon the user ID as well. It depends what the logic you are writing. Then we have the action filter. So action filter you can use for tracking the user activity details, like for converting the return result from the action. Then we have exception filter. So sometimes there is an exception in the ASP.NET Web API pipeline. So this exception filter is going to be called. So that the exception can be any level. It can be within the action code. It can be within the pipeline. So this exception filter will help you to track that exception and to send the custom message to the client. And there is one more filter, that is override filter. So sometimes there is a requirement, like whatever the others filters we are having, we need to override. Let's say you applied the filter at controller level, but there is an action within the controller where you don't want to use the authentication filter. So I can use the override version of the authentication filter. So there are built-in override filter attributes in ASP.NET Web API we are having. So there is a override authentication filter attribute if you are willing to override the authentication filter. There is a override authorization filter attribute, override action filter attribute, and override exception filter attribute. So using the override version of the filter attribute, we can override filters here. ASP.NET Web API filters pipeline. So let's understand in which order the filters in ASP.NET Web API are going to be executed. So there is a pipeline you should understand for this purpose. So when the request is coming here, so first filter is going to be executed is authentication filter. So in the authentication filter, you will write the logic to check the user authenticity. If user is authenticated, then it process the request further. If user is not authenticated, it return back the response. And when you are returning the response, you can mention there like user is not authenticated. You can mention there like the token is not valid, like token is not available. So there are so many result type you can return from the authentication filter. It depends how you want to intimate to the user for the authenticity detail. Like you have not passed this information, you have not passed this option. So such thing we can do mention in authentication filter. If user is authenticated, then it further goes to the authorization filter. In the authorization filter, we check the user permission, user roles. If user having the permission to access this API, then it process the request further. If user is not having the permission to access the API, then it return back. So it will return the message back like you are not authorized to access this API. So we can return here the unauthorized result. Every time the user is not having the permission to access a particular action, to access a particular API. If user having the permission, then what are the data user is sending in the request? So data the user can send in the request URI, the data user can send the request body as well. So there is a model binding. So model binding is going to bind the request data into the action receiving parameter. So when the data binding will happen successfully, so there is a action filter which is going to be executed before executing the action. So here action filter executed 2 times, one time before action execution and one time after the action after successful execution of action. So the action execution would be done with the help of the logic you have written over there. If action is going to be executed successfully, it return the result. And what are the result the action method returning? That result is going to be converted either into the XML format, either into the JSON format, based upon the request accept header. Because some client accept the response in the JSON format, there's some client accept the response in the XML format. So there is a result conversion process going to be done here for returning the result. And here before returning the result, there is a post action filter as well. The post action filter you can use, let's say if you are willing to cache the response at the browser end. So that caching code we can write in the post action filter. So that browser don't need to access the data again and again. So by using the caching header, the browser can use it again and again in the application. So this is the way how the complete pipeline of the filters is working. But sometime it happens there is a exception is going to be occurred when this pipeline is going to be executed, at there might be the exception at action level also. So in that case we are having a one more filter, that is exception filter. So in the exception filter, that exception we can handle and we can return the customized error message to the client. Like this is the exception, like this is the message corresponding to that particular exception you can return from this exception filter here. So this is the way how the various filters in ASP.NET Web API are going to be executed. Filters in action. So let's see how we can create our custom filters in our ASP.NET Web API. How we can configure the filters at various levels. So filters we can configure globally. So in the Web API config file we can configure the filter so that that filter is going to be executed for each and every request. So generally we register the exception filter at globally. The second one is here the controller label. So if you are willing to call a filters for all the actions within a controller, so we can decorate that filter at controller level. You can apply the filter at action level as well. So if you are willing to execute a filter only for a specific action, so you can configure at action level. So at action level you can configure the authentication filter, the authorization filter. Same way the authorization filter can be configured at controller level also. So now let's how we can create all these filters in our Visual Studio. So let's create a project using the ASP.NET Web API. So I'm creating a project. So just go to the web, there is an option here web application, then define the location where you're willing to store the code. I'm using here let's say web API, then define your project name, web API filters. So this is my project name, web API filters. Now select here empty project for creating the web API. So it will create a ASP.NET Web API empty project. And now here for understanding the filters pipeline, let's create a simple controller here. I'm creating here a simple controller named as course, but make sure you have selected here web API to controller empty. So I'm defining my controller name as course controller. In the course we will just return the course name as a string only. We are not creating here any database connection. Even it is not required, but because we need to just understand how the filters are going to be executed. So let me define here public ISTTP. Okay, don't use HTTP extension, just I can use here IEnumerable as a return type. IEnumerable is string and get all. I'm returning here courses here, let's say return new. Let's create the string array. It's a string array. Define the string value here. So in a string I'm just mentioning let's say a web API course. I'm mentioning let's say MVC. I'm mentioning let's say, and here would add one more action for returning the course based upon the parameter. I'm using here get, and I receive a parameter let's say integer ID, and I just written a simple code. Say let's say I'm just returning here web API as a default course. So what we are doing here, we have just created here two action method. Now let's see whether it's responding or not. Let's run the code to verify it's working fine. So you can see here, this is the address where our web API is running. Let me copy it and just test it with the help of Postman. So in the Postman, we need to pass here the API / controller name. It is here course. Then send it, and we should get the list of courses. So I'm getting here web API MVC course. So our web API is responding correctly. Now let's create a custom authentication filter, authorization filter. So how we can create it? So let's add a folder first of all. So I'm adding here a folder. In the folder I'm defining, let's say folder name is filters. And the filters folder we can add our own custom filter. Let's add a class and define the class name as custom authentication filter. So this name can be anything, but I'm defining here the custom authentication filter because we will write the code for creating a custom authentication filter here. And this class should be inherited from the attribute class, which is C# built-in class, because we are willing to use this class as an attribute. Now there is a I authentication interface which we can use here. So there is a I authentication filter interface which we can use to create our own custom authentication filter. So just write here I authentication filter, then add the namespace, and now let's implement this one. So if you will see, it's having here not implemented. So it's a default implementation. The code we will write later on. Right now I'm just showing you the way how you can create your custom authentication filter and what are the attribute classes and the interfaces you need to use for creating your custom authentication filter, for creating your custom authorization filter, action filter and exception filter. And same way we can create this also. So what I can do here, I can add here one more filter. So let's add a class. And this class I'm using here, let's say custom authorization filter. And this class we need to inherit from the attribute and I authorization filter interface. It's I authorization filter attribute. So now let's implement this interface. So I'm implementing this interface, and you can see it's having here a execute authorization filter async method, which we can use for implementing our own logic. So even every filter having such methods which we can use for writing our own custom logic. Now let's understand how we can configure all these filters. So I said to you, like, we can configure the filter globally, controller label and action label. So globally we can filter here in a web API config. So there is a web API config. So here I can write the code to configure my filter globally. And generally the globally filter we configure, which actually we are willing to execute for each and every request. Let's say the example is the custom exception filter. So here what we can do here, we can create here a custom exception filter and we can configure it here. So let me define here custom exception filter, and here let's inherit it from the attribute class, and then we will implement the I exception filter interface. It's I exception filter. Now let's implement this interface. I'm implementing the interface, and to configure it globally, let's open the web API config, and here we need to write the code. So let me write the code here. Let's say config dot filters, then use the method add, and here what filter you are willing to configure, just call that filter by name. Let's say custom exception filter we are willing to register here. So let me copy the class name and call it here. So this way we have configured our filter globally. If you are willing to configure the filter at control label, so let's open the controller, and here in the controller label I can use my filter name, let's say custom authentication filter or like authorization filter. So one of the filter we can configure here, it's authorization. Same way we can configure the authentication filter as well, let's say authentication filter. So this is the way how we configure the filter at controller label. Same way we can configure at action label as well. So there is a way how we can configure the filter at action label. And now here, if you are willing to override the filters which you have configured at control level, if you will see, we have configured this filter at controller level, but for this action I'm not willing to use this authentication filter, I'm not willing to use this authorization filter. So there is a override filter which you can use. Override authentication, we can override authorization as well. Even we can override the action and we can override the exception also. So this is the way how we can configure the filter at globally, controller label, action label. In the upcoming classes you will see how we can create our custom authentication filter, authorization filter and action filter.